Session 4. The Diamonds of Agreement. After adequate preparations and rest following events from the night prior, the party is poised to leave the town of Martin. Their next destination, the city of Kersburg, or the City of Hearts, the largest city in the peninsula. Their course northeast through the town of Aviro, a small farming community, and then due south around the coast, eventually reaching the small metropolis. After a few days of travel and conversation, Mardigan discovers something of interest on the path off the beaten trail. A series of rocks that one might consider a shrine to some long-forgotten god, but Mardigan knows better. After taking a moment to orient himself correctly around, he notices the pattern and heads directly for the nearby tree it points to. Inside, he finds a secret drop site, a hidden stash, containing a small pouch, a well-balanced dagger, and a wax-sealed note, which he opens and reads. He determines quickly that the note is a job offer, a request to hire one Envy by the job poster, Redworm. Neither of these names mean much of anything to him, but he notes the payout of said job, 500 gold pieces, and a symbol on the bottom left part of the letter. It is a circle containing an upside-down triangle. Curious as to what this all might mean for the group, Mardigan attempts to conceal all of this from them, and is mostly successful, except for hiding the note. The party, unsure of how to take this concealment, asks a couple of questions to Mardigan, who in turn responds, "I'll let you know at camp tonight. Let's not talk about it now," and continues to move forward with all haste. The pouch he had well concealed on his person contained 5 diamonds, well cut and beautiful in their own right, but they weigh heavy against him. Eventually that evening, sitting around the campfire, they probe once more, and Mardigan begins to reveal a secret. He tells the party that in his past life, he was a thief, a wolf, as he put it, amongst the sheep. He also tells them that he had to leave, and that he is willing to explain the note to the rest of the group, but demands that it will mean a bond between Mardigan and the rest, for better or worse. Partners, he says. Eros is unsure of the agreement, as is Kethid, but Fenwick is more intrigued. "Are you saying you're willing to share my burdens?" Fenwick asks Mardigan. "Only if you're willing to share mine," he responds back. After further conversation, recalling the events also several nights ago, and the potential path that draws them forward, Kethid agrees, noting there is something strange about the bond that ties them together, and claims that he does not believe in coincidence, but rather that it seems fate, perhaps even the goddess Kamaria herself, has drawn them together. Eros remains curious, though questioning, but agrees nonetheless that there is common purpose in traveling together, shared safety among the key reasons to travel together at this time. This being good enough reason for Mardigan, he begins to share the contents of the letter. In doing so, he reveals the code of Thieves Cant, clearly written in the letter to the trained eye. At that point, he opens up the pouch of diamonds and pours them out into his hand. "Here, this ought to seal the deal," he says, as he drops a diamond into each one of their palms. Eros keeps his palm to himself and says, "You hold on to mine. I trust you with it." And Fenwick reaches for his spellbook. After 10 minutes, a lavender flare flashes across his eyes, and he begins to scan over the diamonds, the document, and the dagger that Mardigan had found. None of which shows any kind of magical elements, but something does catch Fenwick's eye. Looking across at Rek, who is playing with his rock collection, Fenwick sees the tattoos on his body glow, faint, arcane energy trapped within his very body. He tilts his head curiously, and his eyes catch another glyph of arcane energy, a sense of divination magic emanating from Eros' neckline. It is then that he notices an amulet has fallen from within Eros' shirt. Caught between the curious nature of the transmutation magic emanating from Rek and the divination magic emanating from Eros, Fenwick begins to ask his own questions, to which he receives very few answers. Rek was unaware that his tattoos did anything, let alone that he had tattoos, and Eros is caught off guard that his amulet would contain any kind of magic. The group eventually nods off to sleep, and after a couple of watches, they awake Fenwick for the third and final watch of the evening. Fenwick closes his eyes and assumes the vision of his familiar, whom he has named Eyes. And soaring but a mere 100 feet above the party, he looks down and notes his new comrades sleeping peacefully, only to see encroaching movement on all sides of them. Quickly and silently, 4 armed assailants begin to make their way against the party. Grabbing bags and gear, they hoist them up and begin to step away, when Fenwick speaks out and casts a charming spell against the bandit leader. The party, now awakened by the slight commotion, and the bandits, held in their tracks by their leader who now commands them to not take another step. Tensions rise, till eventually the point that a bandit looses his crossbow and combat begins. It is not but 6 seconds before the 3 are dead, and the party has the bandit leader on his knees. They remove the gear from the bandit assailants and recover their own, and Fenwick, Eros, and Mardigan begin to interrogate the bandit leader, who reveals his name to be Guy, and, still under the effects of the charm magic, proceeds to tell them many things he would not normally say, speaking mostly to Fenwick, whom he seems to trust more than anyone else in the world. They tie Guy up to a tree and begin to pick up camp as they decide their next course of action in the early hours of the morning, when Mardigan sees an amulet that has fallen from Guy. The emblem is the same of the open circle and upside-down triangle he spotted on the note, and his curiosity takes over. He reaches out and grabs the amulet, and upon doing so feels a cold chill. His body freezes, locked in place, and unable to move, he too hears a disembodied voice, feminine, cool, alluring. "Interesting," she says. Mardigan's eyes eventually reaching Kethed's, his body is seemingly released, and he drops the amulet on the ground. He shares the brief encounter with the party, and they return to talk to Guy once more, who informs them that the symbol is that of the agents of the Upside Down, the local crime syndicate, and the party returns to their campsite, now with more questions than they had original answers. Fenwick carefully identifies the amulet, which resists against his magic, but after a second attempt is able to discern the conjuration magic that the amulet contains. The amulet itself seems to contain some small pocket dimension, a magical storage chamber, as it were, and it is during this identification that Fenwick also hears the voice, though she seems far less interested in Fenwick than she did in Mardigan. Fenwick, now able to confirm Mardigan's story, explains to Mardigan the exact nature and movements needed to unlock the pocket dimension and release the contents inside. Mardigan does so quickly, yet still hears the voice, almost as if time stops, and in the conversation, she asks him his name, which he reveals. In turn, she reveals her own name, Scialissa, and declares that she will be watching. And in that moment, time finally back to normal, the pocket dimension opens within the amulet, and a black metal tuning fork falls to the ground. It's cold to the touch, and seems to fill whoever touches it with dread and worry, anxiety beyond their normal capacities. And Fenwick realizes it is tuned to the plane known as the Shadowfell. The party discusses, and decides it's best to return the tuning fork to the amulet. Mardigan replaces it, and tucks the amulet deep inside of his pouches. The party then watches nervously for any additional bandits on the horizon. Whew, session 4. Holy smokes. Seriously, I'm not sure I've had more fun with the session in a long time. As a DM, there are a few things I find more rewarding than when my party actively engages the world around them. Not just that, but also engages their own backstory, as well as the backstory of the other players in their party. And this session had all of that. Short of diving into a dungeon, this session was D&D. It had social interaction, character development, combat, exploration, fantastic rolls by my players. I'm pretty sure that Fenwick rolled 3 different nat 20s during the course of this session, and it was so much fun. I am so excited for all of the wonderful things that my party fell into this session. I had not intended on all of these things happening, but I had written down several fun things on the travel chart, and wouldn't you know it, one of those rolls during their travels was the natural 20 to find the secret stash. Well, to find evidence of a secret stash, and then Mardigan just barely met the DC to actually discover the location of where the stash was kept. Now, in terms of the Thieves Cant, that was actually a rule set that I took from Dael Kingsmill. I'll link the video to that below for my fellow DMs that want to use Thieves Cant in a much better way. And by better way, I mean a way that engages more of a code than a language itself. It's not really a new language, it's a new way of using language in order to ultimately get yourself into some wonderful roguelike hijinkses, or out of wonderful roguelike hijinkses. And I found those rules to be incredibly refreshing. So look for that in the doobly-doo down below. And I also wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being so patient and waiting for us to get to this point. In all reality, I know that I could have cranked this video out last week, but I wanted to do this video justice. The story had so many wonderful moments of great roleplay and backstory reveal that I wanted to make sure that I fit them in the right way without spoiling or revealing more than I actually should after being exhausted from a day's work. So again, thank you for your patience. Hopefully it paid off. From this point on, I believe that our Tuesdays are back as regularly programmed and scheduled for session recaps, so make sure you continue to tune into those. And if you're getting enjoyment out of these stories, please leave a like and comment below. I'd love to hear which parts of the story you're connecting to most. We're actually getting closer to 100 subscribers, and that's fantastic. I'm hoping that that can happen within the next couple of months. So I don't know, how should we celebrate that? If you have an idea, drop me a note in the comments below. I'd love to hear how we can celebrate our community growing together and ultimately keep it moving. If you haven't yet, we have a Discord, and that Discord has been so much fun. So please, come on by. That link will also be in the description below this video, as will be my Twitter and Instagram handles in case you want to connect with me on social media. I'm toying around with a new format here. You'll notice that, yeah, it's a little different behind me. I'm constantly looking on how to improve the quality of my videos, and this is but yet the next installation in, I guess, becoming a YouTuber? So what do you think of the new setup? I also have a brand new light and a new rig. Yeah, it feels kind of professional to be looking at a ring light and an actual stand for my camera. Either way, thank you for helping me make this happen. It's because of you, the viewer, and the community that I like making these videos. I'm having so much fun with it, and I hope that you enjoy it too. So friend, thank you for joining us on this adventure. And remember, adventure's calling. Are you listening?